Folks, I'm sitting up here, met a couple, Steve and Lorraine, during the commercial break, and you said you could relate to that, Steve. Why?
I'm married almost 28 years, and I don't pick up.
He hadn't picked up a sock yet, his wife tells me. So, you have any advice for these couples?
It's hard, it's hard.
Don't change your socks.
What?
Don't change your socks.
Don't change your socks. Well, my next guest is the author of Cracking the Love Code and a frequent talk radio guest. I'd like you to welcome Janet O'Neill, everybody. Welcome, Janet. When you listen to these couples, Janet, is there a common thread of a mistake that you want to avoid if you want to move in with the one you love?
Right. None of you had clear expectations about what the other one was thinking. You know, you thought marriage. I tend to think you probably have a really strong belief that you should be married before you live together. Is that true?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you compromised your belief.
Right.
So right off, that's going to create some resentment. You know, you thought it was leading to marriage, and you thought it was, but someday out there, you know, and none of you sat down and talked about areas of whether or not you were compatible and how you were going to deal with all these things.
We didn't plan much at all.
None of you did.
Right
You just assumed that it was going to be okay, and I don't know your histories. I don't know if the women lived alone or just went from the parents to the...
That was the parents.
That was my guess.
That was the hard thing. I think that made a difference.
It absolutely does, because really a good relationship comes from two people being developed individually so that they're together because they want to be, not because they have needs. Like, I'm so busy, we're not going to see each other, so we'll move in. Or financially, it'll help us. You know, or, you know, we're going to get married sooner or later. We never have met anyone but each other. You know, we've been seeing each other since, you know, high school. Those aren't good reasons to move in, and you haven't proved to each other that you are compatible. You didn't have conflict.
Well, Janet, what about the couples who say, you know, we spend every waking hour with each other. We love each other to death. We're having fun. I practically spend my life with your house anyway. Why not move in? That's a person who says, I'm compatible. We've got a great sex life. We're friends. You know, we're already practicing, so why not do it?
Well, there's three elements that it takes for a romantic relationship to work. One is chemistry, which they all had. But chemistry will go away if your emotional needs start to not be met, which happened. The second is compatibility. And compatibility in a dating situation versus real life, which means we're going to live together, and we're not going to deal with just the romance or the Ferris wheel or picnics. We're not going to have them, but we got to deal with what are we going to have for dinner? How are we going to pay the bills? Those are the things they didn't discuss.
Reality.
And those are real life issues if you decide to share your life with a person. And there's a commitment issue that's missing. It doesn't matter. There are some people that live together and they're not married and they're more committed than some people that are married. I mean, marriage isn't a surefire thing that says you're committed. We all know couples that are married but they're not committed to each other. You know, they're not.
But when you're living together or versus you're married, I mean, I would think that if you're engaged and you're living with somebody, that the commitment there to make the relationship work is a lot stronger than just living together.
Right. I don't really think that you should live together unless you're looking to spend your futures with each other. Now, marriage may or may not be in your belief system, and I'm not here to judge anyone's belief system. If it's against your belief system to live together without being married, you shouldn't do it for the other person because you start out with resentment. And none of you had strong enough commitments. Your reasons were it was easier. Some of you women wanted more, but you didn't really stop and think that real love means putting his needs at the same level I put my own. You thought, he's going to be my Prince Charming, he's going to solve all my problems, you know, my parents took care of me and now he should.
Look at Lisa over there laughing. Lisa, she must have hit you right on the head there.
Well, it's true. It doesn't even mean that your relationships can't work out now, but you have to be realistic about both sides. None of these men feel that they're adequate or appreciated right now. I mean, all three women have brought out funny pictures, videos, gone to great, you know, so you feel a little betrayed. You're all very calm. I'm surprised.
George, talk about that, because you just said, yes, I do.
Well, we have been dating for 5 years, and she moved to California after about 3.5 years, and during those 3 years, I was working more than full-time. I was very motivated. Well, I still am motivated, but you know, I know she hasn't forgotten that, but sometimes I do feel like she has.
I hate to say it, but I mean, you know, I was going to school full time. I was doing a lot of things, and I was younger than he was, and so, you know, he took me to the movies and stuff, and that was nice. But now I'm paying real money.
It went beyond the movies. I had an apartment. I moved out of my house after I was 18, and I had been supporting myself, and I paid the rent, I paid the food, and every time I went out, I had, you know, the money at that time. And now I just feel like, you know, she can take the responsibility for a year. I'm not, you know, things are going to change. I'm not going to make any promises.
If you had a ring on your finger, an engagement ring, and you were still living together, and he needed a little help with the job situation, would you feel a lot better about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I'd like a nice engagement ring, and you know, if he could afford, say, to. I mean, I'm not like that, but if he could get the money together to get something nice and show something, saying, you know, I'm sorry things are rough right now, but this is what it's leading up to, then that's fine.
I had a friend explain it to me one time. Said the difference between living together and getting married is kind of like renting an apartment or buying the apartment. If you knock a hole in the wall and you're only renting it, well, you just put a chair up there, nobody will notice it. You don't work on it. But if you're married to that apartment and you own it, you're going to fix that wall, you're going to check the foundation, you're going to make sure that you're living in a solid place.
That's
so
deep.
Maybe you agree.
That. Yeah.
Maybe there's a bit to that.
That's really good.
Let me come back to you just a second, Janet, because I know you've got some great ideas for us. Before the show, we gave our studio audience a compatibility test with the help of Janet O'Neill. We're going to see how our couples in our audience did. Should they move in? Maybe not. We'll check on it after this.